Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to The Conscious Leader. And today we are actually going to speak about conscious leadership at home. We have a beautiful guest with us today, straight from Toronto. We have the beautiful Almi.
Hi, hi. How are you? Thank you, Patricia, for inviting me here.
My absolute pleasure. Almi, please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Almi. I am a mother of three beautiful kids, two teenager and a 4-year-old. Today birthday, by the way. Um, and I am a wife. I'm a mindset coach, and I'm a computer science engineer also. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like more and more living in a more conscious way, as much as I can, and I'm learning on the way too. And at home, especially with my kids, trying to be a more conscious parent, mother, and with my client, and I work, and it's just a new shift in my life that happened recently.
Very nice. I want to take a little journey down your personal lane. So tell us, how did you get into the whole engineering area? Like, what sparked your interest in that space?
So when I started, like I grew up. I had three. I'm one brother, one sister, and we lived in France at that time. That's my accent. You can hear it.
Ah,
And
bonjour.
bonjour, bonjour. And we grew up in France, and with my mother, she was a single mother. So I helped her raise my siblings, and in my way of like making sure I was an example and making sure my mom was happy and like proud. I knew I had to go in a more scientific way, which is more serious and like the mindset where it's like scientific, it's like good and it look good and it bring money and I loved it. Mathematics have always been something that I love, so it was kind of also the way I wanted to go. Uh, so when I got my engineer and I worked for 15 years, and I loved the journey because I grew up um, very technical in the beginning and more connecting with the client in a more relational communication part with my colleagues or my client. And that's where I knew the shift happened because connection was something that I was always looking and mentoring and coaching my colleagues and training my clients. It just without I cannot be the one behind the computer and like writing codes or not like being just on my bubble. I really were thriving like craving for connection.
Hmm. I have a feeling that there's a greater connection here. So I'm going to dig a little deeper. When
Mhm.
did you know you fell in love with numbers?
Fall in love with numbers.
Mm-hmm. Because you spoke to really like falling in love with numbers is what caught you, what brought you into engineering a little deeper and getting into science and into that space. So do you have a memory of when numbers was intriguing to you, or when you felt like, ooh, I want to dig into this a little more? Like, what does this mean? How does this work?
I think that the choice was more in the numbers are you right or wrong. There's no how when you learn like French and you have to write sentences, tests, or you have to psychology and writing essay and etc. It's always subjective. Like you like it or you don't like it. It doesn't mean if you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad, but it just like depends what the teacher likes or not. But numbers is just like numbers. Like if you have you read it, you write it, if either wrong or right. That's it. And I think I've always liked that. It's just like right or wrong, no gray. And that's a good catch.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good
with those definers for you, or those color spectrums, the black, white, and no gray, right? How did you use that in your personal journey of really coming into a space of knowing for yourself? as you were developing in who you are, especially in having that conscious space of, okay, right, wrong, no
Mm,
gray.
yeah. It was honestly, it took a while because, like you said, with that mindset, right or wrong, it puts you in a position where kind of intolerance, like you just like, if people don't get it, don't like, how come you don't get it? Like it's this or that, like it doesn't make sense. And the journey started really when I realized that I was not, like I've never asked myself who I was and what I wanted or what I didn't like it. I knew what I didn't like it, but if you asked me at that time, what do you like? I'm like, I don't know. Because I've always been in a position to take care of others. I was taking care of others all the time. It was like my brother, sister, mothers, and then my ex-husband, and then my husband, my kids, and it's always been in a running process. And I never paused to ask the right question.
Mm.
And I've always like looking to get something to complete me from the outside, not knowing that I had it. Now I know I had everything that I need inside. But the journey of self discovery was like mind blowing because even when I went to my coach, because I went through a program to become a coach, but I went in there to just learn myself, not to become a coach. That's what I said to the, well, on the interview to go to the application. I said, I'm not here because I don't want to become a coach. I'm here because I want to learn about myself. Because once I learn about myself, I know I can help my kids to
Mm.
also like work on themselves better. But not knowing that not only I learn about myself, but on top of it, I was just like, I was already doing the coaching with other people in the family and the friends. So it just like in my mind, I was like, I'm already doing it. And I know now I have more tools and just become a coach. And that's,
Mm. What was your first awakening moment to yourself when it came to that split from black and white into the gray?
hmm,
Because when you got to the point of, okay, I want to take a coaching class in order to find out more about me, there was an awakening point that happened prior to that that brought you to the coaching class, right? So what was it that brought you to that, oh, this gray is worth being explored?
it's weird, but it kind of came from an outside validation. That's
Mm.
something that was always thriving, like getting outside validation because I didn't feel I got that inside of me. And I went through, there was this, like some moment at my work that I experienced where it was like about um, sexism. I was victim of sexism at work.
Mm.
And, and I was like, I have to leave this job and I have to find another job. And then at night, I was like thinking nonstop about it. And one day I woke up and I was talking to my husband and I said, what is the guarantee that I'm not going to leave the same thing somewhere else? What can I do where I am right now to make a change, to make an impact? And as soon as asked that question, for me, it came. And I started writing and I started writing. And I was like, my husband, like, come and help me with the logo and help me with this and that. And I come up at the end with like a program for my current employer where at that time where the proposal was a program for women in the IT work in that company where it's like a mentoring program. And it was three phase where it was like bringing some speaking in speaker women speaker to embrace and help women to express their frustration, help them to talk more and to see how they can go up onto the ladder. In the same time, it was like a support group where we can help each other because I wasn't the only one, I'm sure, experiencing sexism or racism or whatever. And it just how we can support each other. And and I was like scared in the same time to propose that to my employer because I was like, again, I'm going to be the black sheep, like the one who's putting in the light what's going wrong instead of like shutting myself down. And but I did it, and it was well received. And at the end of the year, I got an award for it, and I was like, wow, I can make this kind of shift. I can, and I got the shift because I focused inside of me and I took the time to listen to me. I was like, oh, I wonder what else there is to discover more.
Hmm.
And that's what happened.
How did it make you feel?
Oh my God, powerful. And the funny thing is not powerful like I used to feel in a more masculine way, powerful, but in a more feminine way. And I was just like more in a my heart. I loved that this came from my heart and not from my head. Because when I was asking the question, I kept like seeing myself in that situation, seeing other women who might face the same thing. And I was trying to feel their pain and what were, if I put myself in their position, I'm sure they might ask, I wish something, I wish something. And I was like, I kept repeating, I wish I had this, I wish I had this, and then I wish I had support. I wish I had other women tell me that, don't worry, I got you. I've lived the same thing. Don't worry, you can go through this. And I was like, okay, solution found.
So ultimately what you're saying is that the difference was that with the masculine energy, it was more towards hitting a target, right? Like meeting a need and going for it full force and making sure that that is met versus the feminine which is about communication and ensuring that communication is understood and clear and compassionate. And so in the end that's what you were able to do, which is where all that power reigned. Just
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. Thank you so very much for sharing that because I know one of the things that I tend to share with viewers is kind of like my journeys of moments of awakening. One of my biggest moments is also being within the corporate arena, being in a position that I worked for very hard within that masculine energy space, right? Hitting the target. And then when I finally received everything that I ever wanted, life had no meaning.
Hmm.
Like none of it. Not even, the cookie cutter relationship, right? It was just kind of like this is ridiculous. Like none of this works. And so I literally had to quit my job. I went on a sabbatical for a year and I went backpacking around the world to figure out who the heck I was
Hmm.
without all of this stuff, right? What's underneath the clothes, Patricia? Like what's there? And so it was really just really coming down to the bare nakedness of what are my responses when no one's around? Right? How is it that I respond if I'm to trip in the middle of the desert and no one's there to see it? Like,
Yeah.
how would I respond? What would I do if I'm freezing cold and there's no one there to give me a blanket? Right? So it was just kind of like all those things that I was curious about because I was so used to being around so many people and having other people think and speak for me, or even having their thoughts in my head as my language, right? So it was just kind of like, huh? But my siblings never understood that because they're like, you're like one of the most independent people we know. We don't even understand this. I'm like, yeah, see, I'm independent to you, but not to me. And it's the me part that matters, right? So I love the fact that you had that awakening moment. I'm
Mm.
curious as to when you started to take the journey in the coaching
Mm.
and really starting to see various elements of yourself that were either fragmented or needed further development or maybe had some gaps in them. How did you go about that awakening moment, especially since you have children, you have a family, you have a husband, right? So while you're going through these changes here in this silo, you have to transition them into this other space.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The number one thing for me was really take first of all taking care of myself. Like it was something that self love, self care was something that I've never even think of it basically. And because I was always running because I want to make sure that the money was there for the kids and making sure the school, the homework, and the food, and so I was always running to take care of the human needs, like the principal needs.
Mm.
not knowing that there's also other stuff that I can do that can bring more closeness and connection. And I was doing it, but I realized I can do way more. Being just in the present moment with them was something that once I learned for myself, I just translated there with them. And I remember the first thing that I put in place was just like how to close the day, work day by a dance party. Like it was something that I put in place and my son loved it. And it just like 5 minutes, that's a break. Like work is done, it's time to dance. And you just like dance with him and he
I love dancing.
jump on my bed. I know I see on Date with Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's just like jumping on the bed and doing silly things and remembering crazy how we can just be playful and enjoy this moment. And and just by putting that in place was huge because I can see his face laughing at me and he was looking at me and 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 I was there. He was looking at me and I was looking at him and he was just like waiting for that. And with my daughter, it's just like playing cards. Like playing cards, like sometimes not cleaning the house. I wasn't cleaning the house because I was like, before cleaning the house, what is the other thing that the new me is doing versus the old me?
Mm.
And the new me is like, we don't need to clean the house. The house sometimes is a mess. It's okay. The dishes is not done. It's okay. But I need to connect on a daily basis with my kids. As much as and I'm not going to say we're bad mothers because we don't on a daily basis we're not taking connecting all the time and playing with our kids because I don't want to feel make other mothers feel guilty if they're not doing it. But it's just how we can interact on a more present interaction because we tend to say like I'm sometimes we just say I am with them. I am with my kids the whole day, but are we really with them? Like are we really connected to them? Are we really like connecting visually, being in the present moment with them? And that's how I'm trying to thrive in there and just giving them my presence on a daily basis. That's and
So what woke up within you though? Like there's something that because it's not that all of the sudden you went from okay, I'm working, I'm cleaning. Oh yeah, let's spend some time. Right?
mhm,
Like there was a transition. So like what is it that woke up inside of you? Because it started with you as you were stating. It started with your self-love and your self-care and as a result of that,
mhm,
you were able to be more present in
mhm.
that space and even want to give greater care and attention in that space. So, like, do you have a moment or a memory that really caused an awakening in you on yourself, which brought you to being more present?
I just like I guess I just remember that they're going to grow.
Mm.
They are going to grow and I'm already it's almost like my son is 4, he's 3 right like he's 4 today. But it just I have a chance to do it better and 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 even my daughter, my teenagers, they're going to grow. Like I cannot miss more time to be looking for to be working so hard outside and forget that sometimes I just have to be giving a few of my times inside the house. And I guess the scary that scared me more. Like they are going to grow up. Like, come on, who do you want to be? Who what kind of mother do you want to be? Even asking that question is just like, yes, we can be different type of mother. Like, okay, so which one you want to be? And I realized I want to be a funny mom. I want to be a mom that it can be silly, that can be singing and dancing all over the place and making crazy faces and just having fun because we tend to, I personally, when I became parent, I forgot that I can also still have fun and it's not just about responsibility.
Mm. That's really, really good. And so I'll ask you this. I know that when it comes to current state, being at home, the virtual world, everyone's trying to figure out the best balancing point, right? Because work and personal life are no longer separated. They're all living in the same space, and everyone's trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to separate? Is there a wall I need to put up? Is there, a distancing in time? Is there a separation, with family? Oh my gosh, my kid is running in the background in the middle of this meeting, right? Like, there are all these different things that are flowing in the same space that we used to manage so separately.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going about that when it comes to this journey that you are taking in being conscious in your home, leading within your workspaces, and also leading consciously at home?
Honestly, like it was this year was amazing in that area because it's almost like as a mother we were free. As a working moms, we were free and allowed to have kids around in the Zoom meeting coming up because everyone has that. Like in none, there's no one meetings there was like a kids on my end or on the other end, there are kids jumping, coming or yelling, and it was just like I was relieved. Like feels good to not have to worry for that, and especially as a working mom because there's dad that they don't really feel that way. I feel like I might be mistaken, but the average all the time is woman who's like, how are they going to perceive me?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to feel like I'm not going to be working as hard because I have my kids around and I have to take care of the lunch and I have to babysit and the homework and this whole worry kind of disappear. And not in the beginning of the quarantine, I wasn't like that. I was like very stressed because I had that suddenly we had like two people leaving to my two of my superior leaving and I had to take care of like the whole department which is like 20 people and I it just got huge responsibility suddenly. Quarantine arrived, kids at school at home, and it was just like a lot of things to handle.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but little by little I realized that okay, remember the quote from Tony Robbins, life happened for us and not to us. And I was just like, okay, I have to learn from this. There's something that I have to learn. Like what I have to learn. And I was just like constantly asking the question, what I have to learn, what I like and I realized that okay, no one is bothered on the other hand that their kids are coming. Why are you bothered about that? What is stressing you out? Okay, are you stressed for you or are you stressed of how they might see you?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, okay, it's not about me, it's about them. But they're not worried about them. I'm thinking of them. So why am I thinking of that? So I switched that part. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. Right now, it's just my well being, my kids' well being. Like, we have to be able to handle this. And being able to say some meetings arrive at lunchtime one or two times, okay. But if it's like every day of the week for weeks and then weeks after, I can't. So I without any worry, I said, no, no lunchtime, I can do the meeting. We can do it earlier or after. And people are like, okay. I'm like, oh, okay, it's nice then. And it's just like putting boundaries on both sides. And the same thing with the kids. Like there's boundaries, and sometimes, uh, like how the guilt of they're not going to eat healthy or they're not exercising. Sometimes no. Then sometimes they're going to watch TV for hours, or sometimes they're going to eat some leftover food, and I'm okay with that. And the house is not clean like for 2 3 days, it's okay, and I can handle that. And it's just like a lot of like my shoulder, like I was tense like this, and I was like, okay, 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 okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it feels good to just like realize I'm in control. Whatever happened, I can still be in control. Is like things will happen to me. How I react to them is what will make me in a certain emotional state.
Indeed. It all comes down to the meaning that we are giving every scenario that we are in. It's so funny how easily we give that up.
Mhm.
We give it up, and it's really like, okay, this thing is happening, but what does it mean? And as soon as you ask that question, what does it mean? You will find out what your beliefs are.
Mhm.
You'll immediately be able to identify, okay, where do I go from here? And pivot. So I love the fact that you walked us through that. That was a beautiful example. Beautiful example. So, what would you say are one of your most uh, challenging elements of leadership at home at this moment in time?
I think
Conscious leadership.
the hard part, like with for me as a mother, is always we want to be the best mom ever, and we want like to make sure that we are loved and connected with our kids, and it just to find the right like
Balance.
balance in between. And I realized that I don't need to put any like rigid like line. And and one of the things that we put in place during the quarantine was like Friday slumber party in the living room because we can't go anywhere else anyway. So we did like a
Awesome.
slumber party and no TV, and we put a blanket on the floor, and every week the Friday someone orders something that they want to eat, and we all eat together around the table. But the point is to eat and share. Like, what was your week? What was the the juicy things that happened to you during the week? Oh my God, the things that we learn, and sometimes things that I was just so uncomfortable. We look at each other with my husband, and like, oh my God, this is what. Okay, okay, okay. And the rules was the rule were like, whatever we say here can never be brought outside of it.
Can never be used against anyone.
Yeah, and so we all like,
Beautiful.
okay, we're good, go.
That's beautiful.
But it was amazing. It was amazing because they were free to share, and we were free to share. And one of the things that we kept repeating to them is like, we became parents with you. It's not like we had a degree to become a parent. We're learning with you.
I
So
love this.
yeah, it is so true though, and it feels good as a parent when we say that to them. It takes us like a heavy weight, like
Hmm.
good, because we're like, they know exactly, they know that we don't know everything, and sometimes we're going to make mistakes, sometimes we're going to say or do something that is not nice, or they might hurt them. But the main thing is what we were telling them is like, please come back to us and tell us if something we did or said hurt you. Come back to us. The same thing, if you say something and do something that hurt us, we're going to come to you. And that's how we can learn, and how you can grow as a kid and become an adult, and we can grow as a parent and become a better parent. And yeah, that was a good thing for us.
That is beautiful. And I love that practice because it clears the air for everyone, right? Like everybody's stuck at home. Everybody's having to deal with the same kind of pressures, the wants that they can't have, the things that they can't do but want to do. And
Mhm.
so the beauty of that space is that it creates a safe space for everyone to really just kind of share those frustrations, right? Like I'm sharing, here's my day, here's my week, here's what happened, here's what I wish happened, here's what didn't happen, here's what I learned which threw me off, here's
Mhm.
what I've just been, exposed to that I'm not quite sure how to take it, right? Like it's like all of these things to just say in a safe space and then walk out of there like, huh, and
That's
we're
good.
still a family and it's still cool and we still love each other. I actually love you more now.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, yes, like definitely. It's just like it's free, and we have like another one is just like in English will be sheep, I guess. In French, it's merde. And we
Mm.
whenever we like, my daughter's coming is like, can I tell you something? And I was like, yeah, but first we have to say the merde together, and because that is what we once we say that, whatever we say together, we cannot use it later on. So sometimes she just comes like, can I say something? I'm like, yeah, merde. And then
Code.
she says something, and I'm like, and I was like, do you want me to answer, give you a feedback and advice? And she said, sometimes she say yes, So I'm giving her. Sometimes she say no. It's like, okay, thank you for sharing, and she move on.
That is beautiful. Like
Mhm.
the tools that you are using are gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous because even in that the language that you're using in that dialogue, you're actually asking for permission of giving advice or feedback versus just running in and giving it, which may not be necessary, right? Like, and that's kind of one of the things. What I really appreciate about how you are consciously leading, specifically in just that example, is that earlier we were talking about masculine, feminine energy. And in the fact that you are speaking to your daughter who's coming to you in a feminine energy space, in speaking, using communication, directing communication, right? And bringing that over to you. And the fact that you are teaching her, and, or I should say, guiding her on the fact that, look, here's how this communication flows. It's not that whoever it is that you're talking to has to forcefully give you an opinion and you take it. And it's not that you have to be imposed upon either. You can simply share because you want to share in your energy and power, and that's okay. And I don't have to have the answers. The answers are within you anyway. So sometimes you just need a listening ear. And that's what I love about that because that's one of our powers as, feminine energy, right? It's the whole thing of there's the moment to express and then there's a moment of seeking,
Mm-hmm.
but always leave the door open to ask for permission on when you can identify where it is a moment of seeking or a moment of expression. Because we tend to default on thinking we know and we don't.
Now I'm thinking that we like it's really like even when we give feedback, it's really because we want to help in a more
Yeah,
like masculine man. Like if I talk to my husband, I have this problem. Like Tony always was saying, I have this problem. Okay, how can I help you? What's the
yeah,
solution? You're doing this and this, and I used to be like that for many years, and I realized that it was not healthy at all, and that was not because I receive also feedback when I don't ask feedback, and it just like hurts, and you're like, I didn't ask you anything. What the hell? Why are you asking? Why are you telling me this? But I realized that I was doing the same thing. So it's also a lot of self reflection and understanding the same what am I doing in this kind of situation and how I would like people to act with me. So I should be doing the same thing to others. And it's a continuous like progress and continuous learning. I love learning and I love growing and I'm always have like kind of mentor to people that I can like reproduce the same kind of behavior because I believe that there's a lot of things that's already been done out there. Like I don't need to discover something. It's just like some behavior that I like, I just reproduce and that's how I grow on a daily basis. Yeah.
Almi, thank you so very much. Half hour went by so fast. I could speak to you for hours. This was fantastic.
It was fun having.
I appreciate you so very much, everyone. Almi and the beautiful Toronto area. I
Thank
thank you so much again, truly, for joining me in this conversation and helping lead the dialogue on what conscious leadership at home looks like. I appreciate you.
you so much. I appreciate the time and talk to you soon.
Indeed. Bye for now. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Conscious Leader. And we are here talking to Celiana and Zaina, who are the daughters of Almi. They are joining us from Toronto. And so we are continuing the conversation of conscious leadership at home. But first, let's get to know you two a little bit. We'll start with the oldest. Zaina, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Dana. I'm 17 in my last year of high school, grade 12. And I recently started a blog where I talk about like current events and world issues. Yeah.
Awesome. Very nice. Selena. Or
Hi,
Celiana, sorry.
my name is Soliana. I'm 10 years old. I love horseback riding, baking, and swimming.
Ooh.
And my dream is to make energy for kids.
Ooh. Let's get into that a little bit. What caused that interest?
Well, my mom signed up for BMW to listen to Tony Robbins, and at first I wasn't really interested. But then when I saw Kinergy and how they dance and motivate people, I actually wanted to do that too. And so my mom and I made this like crazy idea, like let's make a Kinergy for kids, and that's like my dream, kind of. And my coach, Ms. Vina, actually went to Florida. That's where Kinergy does it.
Hmm.
Didn't even know I like energy. So when I texted her, I actually like energy. She took a video and a picture for me. And like my three favorite people, Hannah, Ulato, and Chanel. They were like, "Hi, Seliana! Oh my gosh, can't wait until we dance with you and all that stuff." And they might actually be doing a Kinergy for Kids, which is really exciting for me. So very
Nice. Way to win. I love that. Talk about leadership. You stepped into that full force. I love that. Beautiful. Did you celebrate the
yes,
fact that you stepped into that? Okay. Because you definitely should. That's a pretty big moment. Love,
yeah, it is.
love it. So, Zaina, I heard that you're also into journalism.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. What caused that interest?
Well, I've always been really interested in writing and I really enjoy it. And then more recently, I've gotten more involved in like I've been more interested in politics and like what's happening in the world. So I kind of found a way to like combine both of those.
Hmm.
And yeah, I really love it.
And is that what led you to the blog?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So tell us a little more about the blog.
Yeah, I decided to do it kind of as a way to educate myself more too, because like I research a lot of things, and then also to help educate like especially people my age, because I feel like I don't know, teenagers don't really take the time out of their day to like read the news because school and everything, like there's so much going on. So I kind of just summarize some like important topics of the week so that people can like more conveniently educate themselves and yeah.
Nice. So I'm wondering what woke that up inside of you, the curiosity inside of you.
Yeah, I'm not well, like I see on social media people, like going to protests and getting more involved in issues that they care about, and like I decided that I wanted to do that. And even like with COVID, like obviously it's kind of made it hard for some people, but I feel like the blog was a way that I realized, oh, I can still do this now. Like I can still find a way to help now by like posting online and yeah.
I love that. It's you both are motivated to help people and I love that because I can tell with what Celiana shared in regards to tying back to Kenergy, she was speaking about motivating people, right? And that whole act of service, where would you say for the both of you when it comes to the very first time that you knew you wanted to be in service to someone else? Do you know what is your first memory of that being something that you actually loved?
um Well, like for me, I guess like I'm very energetic sometimes. So I kind of want to use that energy to also like like not also stay home on the couch and watch TV, also to motivate myself, but also to motivate other people and inspire them.
Hmm.
So kind of yeah, what I really want to do.
So when you think about like the very first time that you actually like did something in service for someone else, right? Like whether it can be as simple as like let's say you did something for Zaina
Hmm.
and her response to your service to her was one in which she was so happy that she like hugged, kissed you, couldn't stop talking about you, told your mom, whatever the situation may be. But just something in which it highlighted to you like I actually really love doing things like this. Was there a moment like that?
Um,
Maybe not to your sister. It could be to your mom. It could be, anywhere else. It could be something that happened in school prior to pandemic. It could be something that happened at home.
well, this idea came to me like when I was doing Kinergy, and everyone was like, "Oh, you like Kinergy?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, well, like we were just talking about crazy stuff," and then like she was like, "Oh, maybe you can do Kinergy for kids," and I was like, "Really?" And then we were all so excited, and then like that's when I wanted to do that.
Mm, awesome. What about you, Zaina?
Well, one thing I can remember is when I was in like grade four, I think, my school decided to have an eco council. So I decided to join that with my friend, and then we kind of like, I don't know. I think I kind of realized that like putting up flyers about like helping the earth and stuff, and like actually seeing people look at that and then like learn, and I don't know. I feel like it kind of like made me realize that you can actually like help other people, and like it's not that hard. I don't know.
No, I totally get that. How did it make you feel?
Like I was actually like making a difference, and I was like, oh wow, like I could actually do this.
And you definitely are. Like, that's the beautiful thing about it. It just takes one step, right? It's not, we're so busy getting distracted by like what everyone else is doing that we can get lost in how many steps they've taken
Yeah.
only because they started like yesterday and we're starting today,
Hmm.
right? So that's the reason why they have so many steps ahead because they started yesterday while we're starting today. So it's like we just need to go ahead and go with our first steps, our second steps, our third steps, and it'll totally be fine. So I'm curious, are you guys are you guys familiar with conscious leadership? Like what conscious leadership is? What the word consciousness is versus the word leadership?
Me not really.
No? Okay. What about you, Zaina?
um, Not really.
No? Okay. No, that's totally fine. So when it comes to consciousness, what I'm referencing is ultimately to communicate with awareness, right? When people are actually being intentional about what they're doing and how they're doing it. Does that make sense? As to consciousness. And then the leadership side is really just stepping into something, leading the way, making a path. You can be the first, you can be the last. It doesn't matter the position. It's because of the fact that you are the one who is making the mark. And that's where the leadership comes from. So putting the two together is intentionally leading. That's ultimately what it is. It's just intentionally leading. So I'm curious as to now, with you guys being totally at home and in really just being in this space with the pandemic, like, how are you seeing that you've had to step up in your own respective spaces, ages, in conscious leading? Like, whether it be at home from like a school perspective, a friend perspective, a family perspective, like, are you seeing that you've had to step up differently?
I think that one way that we could like that we have been like leading when we're at home is just trying to be positive, like helping pick each other up because it's like hard times. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Like, do you have any examples of some ways that you yourself have stepped into being more positive?
Um, well, I know like with my friends even it's been hard because like we haven't been able to see each other. So like it can be really easy to kind of look at all the negatives. But yeah, just like kind of trying to like help pick them up too and say like, oh, at least like we're back at school now so we can see each other then. Like you it can be hard sometimes, but you can like you just have to look for the positives.
Absolutely. What about you, Celiana?
Well, me too. Like, I felt like I also had to step in for everyone around me, also for me too, because like my sister, I haven't been able to go to school, like for the pandemic, and like seeing my friends and all that stuff, and family too. It's been really hard. So, and like my sister said, also one of my goals, practicing with my coach, is to also look at the positive side instead of always the negative.
Mm.
So,
How are you doing that with yourself to look at positive versus negative?
well, I actually have an example. Can I explain it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had this presentation, and some people were in partners and some people were alone, but the teacher put me alone. And I was really stressed and nervous to do the presentation by myself. And I also thought it was unfair. It was like the teacher must hate me because she put me all alone. While other people like are not nervous, are not that nervous because they're in groups. But then I looked on the positive side, it said she actually put me alone because she thought I was capable of doing it alone, and she only put the people in groups because thought they needed more help and support. So I looked at the positive side, and at the end, I actually did my presentation. It was just fine.
Well done. Yeah, well done. That is beautiful. And when it comes to you even having that mechanism that you went to of, okay, time to flip this to positive, did you obtain that from a session with your coach?
Yeah, and also like since a long time, like my mom always tells me, stop taking the negative route and start taking the positive one. Cause like, and your brain doesn't even know what's going on in reality, so you can also lie to your brain and say, "I'm so excited! I totally got this! I'm gonna rock it! I'm gonna own it!" All that stuff.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Zaina, have you used any specific language when you're looking to switch from positive to negative within yourself?
I think just like I tried to list specific things that I have going for me, like we're all healthy here, and like sure we're kind of forced to stay at home, but now we have more time to do things like work on blogs and yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Do you guys have any other areas where you're stepping into life a little differently now that you're at home? I know your mom was sharing how one of the new things that you guys do, which I think is super spectacular, is your oh, I forgot how she titled it, but I think it was like your living room sleepovers. Is that what it is? Where you
Oh, is it on Friday?
yes, where
Uh,
you're all in the living room together and it's kind of like purge night,
yeah.
or you just purge everything out and then it's like, all right, safe space. We're done with that. Right? I thought that was so genius. Like, what did you guys think of the first night you guys did that?
Well, the first night for me, it was kind of weird. Cause like at first it was also silent, like, and we were just eating. And so at the end, my mom stepped in and said, "Okay, so guys, what's up?" And so we each took a turn to explain like what's exciting, new things that happen in life, and then I guess I got more comfortable with it, and probably everyone else got more comfortable with it. And I know even though we're family, there's still some stuff that we don't know about each other, and I thought it was a really good opportunity to like get to know each other better, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Zaina?
Yeah, I feel like especially lately it's been so easy to like get caught in a cycle of work and school, and we've kind of been like really busy, you know, so it was great to just sit down and really catch up and just spend time together.
Awesome. You ever had, okay, so I'm so curious, like that first awkward moment where you're like, okay, let's test this out if this is truly a safe space, right? Like, I've got something to say and it's probably going to throw everyone off, but I'm going to say it and see what happens. Like, did you both have that moment?
Yeah.
And how did it make you feel going through that process? Never mind what you said, just how did it make you feel going through it and then coming out of it?
it made me feel good because I know my family's always there for me, but like this still helped me like I guess like I knew this time like I could really like say what I wanted to say. That I knew they weren't gonna say anything. Like they weren't. Like this was the one night where we say everything and then we pretend it never happened.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like we're already pretty close as a family, but this like just opening up even more. It was like a conversation as if we were just all best friends. Like
That's awesome. That's spectacular. Because what I was saying to your mom was that it's so needed in this moment right now because everyone's dealing with frustrations, right? Like everybody's dealing with the whole thing of having to be quarantined, not being able to do what you want. So it's beautiful to have a safe space where you can actually just purge everything out. Doesn't matter, right? Where you're like, look, I was exposed to this week. I wasn't really happy about it. I don't even know what this means. I don't even know what to think about this, but I'm just going to throw this out there. And to have it just be received, right? Like, safe space, received, no comments. All right, we're done with it. And then on to the next thing. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you guys are doing as a family. And it's showing how you are all showing up in conscious leadership individually in that space and even leading yourself into that dialogue and the conversation. And even that first moment of, all right, I'm going to say something. I don't know how this is going to go. Let's see how safe this is, right? And to throw it out there and go, huh, well, all right, that was safe. Okay. Next week, I got a doozy for you guys, right? Like, that's pretty awesome that you guys are doing that. I really, really loved sharing this conversation with you two. You have been spectacular. Thank you so very much for sharing with me how you show up at home, how you have really just started to change and shift gears, and even how you are showing up in leadership within yourselves and for yourselves. And for any teenagers or preteens out there that may be watching this, what would you like to say to them about intentionally leading themselves at home?
I would say just really try to be positive, and once you're able to get that mindset, help others around you to have that too, because like during tough times like this, we really need to all help each other. You never know when like a loved one is struggling more, so just check in on them. And yeah. I would love to say the same thing. Yeah, gonna say the same thing.
Beautiful. Thank you both so very much. Your beautiful hearts are absolutely seen. I appreciate you for being here, for sharing your thoughts, for sharing your love and your presence. It's absolutely felt, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys, this is your conscious leader here sharing a little love in regards to conscious leadership at home. Just remember no matter what the day brings, no matter what the week brings, no matter what the time brings, at the end of the day, take care of you. Until next time, bye for now.